Guys, welcome to the third meetup of this quarter, quarter one. Please note that we do record these sessions just for the guys who can't attend or who would like to revisit a lot of the stuff that we're going to hold demo tonight. The meetup is still pretty relaxed, so don't feel as if you're on camera and getting recorded and you need to be all stiff. Please, this is your session, this is your space. Feel free to ask questions, get involved. If you have anything to ask, add anything, please, this is your space to do that in. If there's anyone who's new that I haven't met before, there is one or two sort of names I haven't seen before, but I know everyone by name, so that's pretty cool. My name is Nick Benson. I'm the community lead for Programmable Banking. I'm ex a number of things if you know me all well enough, but lately I've been getting into the crypto space in the last year and just building out little crypto apps. So that's been my sort of space for a while now. Please feel free to use the chat to say hi to everyone, to let us know where you're calling in from. I haven't used Zoom in a while, so please forgive my Zoom etiquette, but feel free to put into the chat if you need and say hi. Cool. As I mentioned, this is meetup number 3 in our quarter. Every quarter has a theme. This theme for this quarter was, what can you build that can be shared with others? So that was kind of the theme for this quarter. I'm trying to see very cool and different ways of building things that can be shared with other people and not just with yourself. So the agenda for tonight is focused on 3 very cool demos that the community guys have been building out. We have a very cool demo from Reinhardt, from Platform 45 around the spend tool. So Reinhardt's been part of the community for a very long time. He's been our hackathon judge. He's really involved in the community, but he's also been building some very cool things. Then, of course, Milan's going to give us a quick update on the spreadsheet banking stuff. I'm sure a few of you guys have seen the spreadsheet banking, the demos and the apps and what the guys have been building out. It's been very cool. And then, of course, Neil will talk us through what the Investec, the new developer portal that they've just built and just launched in beta. And we'd really love your feedback around that. And then, of course, we've got some community updates. We'll just let you know of what we've been building. So this quarter, we've been very focused on building a better experience for you guys within the community and providing you with some really cool sort of content that's of value. So we would really love your feedback on it. And it's just to give you a quick view of what, what we've been doing. And we'd love to get you involved in any of these sort of community objectives or projects. But again, this is a very loose agenda. If there is anything, guys, please, again, feel free to put into the chat, ask, put up your hand, shout, scream, send pigeons. I will get it, I swear. So please let me know. Okay. Cool. Everyone happy with that? Please, if you can, please feel free to keep your cameras on, because guys, I know from a presenting point of view, it's always nice to see some faces, but it's not a must have. But yeah, please feel free to get engaged. Awesome. Happy. Awesome. So our first demo is Reinhard. Are you ready, mate? Reinhard, sorry, man.
Hey, yes, I am ready. So we actually have a pretty full house from platform side tonight. So the Matthew Richards, James, where's Tim as well. So everyone who's in the call working. Hey, oh, Vince, yes, Vince is there as well. So so everyone has helped on this project in some form or fashion. Major kudos to the team who did this. So I am doing a recorded demo. I'm not doing a live demo because the demo guards need to be with me. So I prepped 4 videos that I'm going to take you through. But first is a little slide deck, just taking you through the approach that we had and why we built this. And then I'm going to show you some videos and then have some questions and answers. So without further ado, let's get some screen sharing going. So I'm running on one screen, so I won't be able to see chat. I'll be able to see chat after the demo. Cool. Share screen. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Cool. So it's spend with a double D, but pending a potential rename. So that's why the second D is got in brackets, because it will probably be renamed before it launches properly. It is aimed at corporate card spend management. So we all know that admin is hard. We hate it. So let's bloody automate it. So that is the sort of approach that we took with this. The why, the how, and the who. So the first one is, why did we build this? So it is, companies need the ability to capture, categorize, and export transactions on corporate cards. Paper-based expense claims is a pain to manage in companies. I know this firsthand. So we are trying to move away from that and trying to create a digital solution towards company card spend. So how do we build this? We built this with Ruby on Rails, and we dog fooded this since December 9th. We've had about 270,000 rands worth of company card spend and card transactions processed and automatically matched through the transactions API. So we've had that gone through this very MVP, very crude. You'll see the designs of it. It's not very pretty, but we're going to get there. System. The who is this sort of aimed to? This is best geared towards your financial humans. So that would be your CFOs, your accountants, or anyone who has access to a Investec card. So just a quick one on this: supports both the ICIB and the private banking APIs. So this is not just towards the private banking side of the business, it is also towards the corporate ICIB API. There is a sort of niggly there, but we'll get to that. So what features do we currently have within the SpendCo app? So we have immediate notifications on card purchases to the cardholder. So there was, in December, there was a corporate gift bought from the Lego store, and we actually got the notification from SpendCo before the actual invoice was sent to the email address from the Lego store. So we have an immediate notification on every single card transaction. We have single sign-on. So the idea it is we piggyback off of the authentication from the corporate or from the company. There we just make use of their authentication and treat them as a trusted party or the trusted authentication provider. You can expense with or without supporting documentation. So there are some transactions which, by virtue of the transaction, does not generate a document to prove that you made the transaction. And we have automatic transaction mapping to the same currency. So what happens is once the payment clears through the API, we will automatically find the authorization, we'll automatically match them up, and we can export it based off of that automatic mapping. We have expense categories. So the idea is you can categorize however you'd like to categorize your spending. And you have the ability to provide an internal code as well as an external code to your categories. And then you can export it to your accounting system. So the idea is after you've matched them i.e. you've reconciled them to the API and to your authorization, once that mapping or that match has happened, you can export or batch it with supporting documentation to your accounting system. So that's currently the feature set that we have developed. So now it's some demo time. So any questions on that before we get to the demo?
That makes a lot of sense. And thanks. Useful content.
Yeah,
Cool.
just a quick question. So when you get that notification from the Lego purchase, which just seems dodge, let's be honest, some creative gifting there. Is there a feature that then directly tracks or traces all purchases on that card, or does it just remain general? You can't use it forensically perhaps at this stage?
So So you'll see in the demo, when that notification has got the merchant information, it's got the details on how you transacted and where you transacted. So from a forensic point of view, there is no feature currently to say this was a dodgy transaction. The ability is to say you spent money on the card. So from there on, you can take further steps. If this was fraudulent, you can take that by contacting the bank to say this was a fraudulent transaction, it needs to be reversed, or it needs to be charged back, or whatever the case may be. So there is no forensic component to this app just yet.
Thanks.
Cool. So demo, before we get to the challenges that we faced. So the first video that we have is the single sign-on authentication. So we've been testing this off of a company called Horizon Data. It's one of the beta users for the dog fooding. So this they run off of Microsoft Azure Active Directory. So we listed it as an application within that, and you actually log into SpendCo one of two ways. You log into it through the My Applications at Microsoft.com, or you log into by providing your email address on spend.co. So just a quick little demo here. Oh dear, very blurry. Let's see. Anyway, let's push through. So it just shows, let's see if we can push up the quality before we get there. Cool. So just shows My Applications at Microsoft.com. SpendCo is there. It authenticates you through Active Directory. It redirects you to SpendCo, having logged you in automatically. Then you can have a look at all the authorizations that have gone through your card. So I'm going to log out now, and I'm going to sign back in. Authenticates you through Microsoft, and it logs you back in. So that's the sort of single sign-on demo. The second demo is expensing with an invoice. So you have a receipt or an invoice that you can attach to the transaction. Let's just make sure that this is in HD. Cool. So we'll see that there is a $325 charge on a subscription from Fivetran. We open it up. So I just want to pause here quickly. So touching on that point, Karina. So when currently, while this is in MVP phase, we show a crazy amount of detail in the notification coming in. Once we have the new designs coming in, which we'll talk about a bit later, we are going to remove this metadata and actually show it in the user interface. So the idea is the email is going to be straightforward, but we can see the country of the transaction. We can see the categorization from the actual API or from the notification, and we can see the date and time and the reference that was created for this transaction. We see that it matches the invoice, and you can click on create an expense. It will automatically log you in. We can then go and see the amount is pulled through, the merchant is pulled through automatically, and we can choose a categorization. We provide a description as to why you spent the money. You provide a supporting invoice. You can upload more than one document as well. And it uploads and the expense gets created. So that is literally the entire process of creating an expense. It is a pretty straightforward approach. Then the third demo here is what happens if you don't have a supporting invoice. So how does that transaction flow work? Before we start. So we can go to the list of authorizations. We see that there are 79, my admin is terrible, and we know this. So we go and see the Gautrain. When you transact with the Gautrain, you can actually use your bank card, and just tap your bank card instead of the Gautrain card. And the idea is you can then go from there to see who Gautrain, passenger railways. It's going to take me a while to realize it's at the top.
This will be done by the user directly, the one who swiped the card to categorize, correct?
Yes, that is correct, yes. Based on, so you're going to, once that email gets received, you see that, hey, so you are the registered card holder or the linked card holder to this card. Money was just spent on your card. You're going to get an email, you're going to click on claim or provide context to this transaction, and then you're going to say, you're going to choose a category and you're going to provide a brief description as why you spent that money. You're going to say parking at Gautrain. It's a crazy amount, crazy expensive with parking. But anyway, we can bypass the document requirement and create the expense. The last one that I want to show is the automatic transaction mapping between the API, the transactions API, and the authorization that comes through. Oh, nice, cool. So we see that I purposely go back to find an old transaction. So I take the transaction from the 17th of March. It is the transaction has come through the API already. I see that provide context here. And just want to pause here. So the transaction has already, this is just the ID for the transaction in the backend, but the transaction has already been linked to this authorization. So there's no manual need to reconcile it now because we've matched the authorization and your transaction automatically. And that is it from a quick sort of recorded demo perspective. Before we move back to the slides, are there any questions on any of these videos that I need to sort of replay through? I know I've got 5 minutes left. Cool. So going back to the slides.
Sorry, Reynard.
Yes.
Question?
Yes.
When you talked about automatic reconciliation, I thought you meant automatic categorization. So would it be possible to set up a pattern if it matches Gautrain star, then automatically categorize it to transport or railways or whatever?
So that is something that we that is something that we can do. It's just not something that we have implemented just yet.
I think this is a really great product with very many possibilities in terms of additional features that can be added. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, we've had a few brainstorming sessions. There's a lot of possibility here. Cool. The challenges that we faced. So there was one big, massive challenge that well, not massive. There was one noticeable challenge that the Tim faced was the ICIB returns 2 transactions from the API for every transaction that you swiped. So there's one for the pending transaction and there's one for when it clears. So you just need to be able to say, otherwise you're going to be importing that transaction more than once. And private banking API only returns the transaction once it's cleared. So that's the 2 or 3 days afterwards. So that was the sort of main challenge that we faced. Other than that, it's just sort of linking these things together. So what are the next steps for you? So we've got some designs and we've got some pretty pictures on how to make this look better. Doesn't make this look like an MVP. Then we are going to onboard our first corporate user. We're in the process of onboarding them to test with. We are rolling this out to more companies. If you are keen to get involved testing this out with us, let's chat. And we want to implement three-legged OAuth once it's properly released. The new designs. So some sneak peek at the new designs coming in. So the idea is that this is what that email will look like. We've noticed that you used your card, follow the link to complete a report as to the transaction. You can then provide context as to how you spent it, sort of showing you that you are 30 minutes faster than your company average is providing context to transactions. If you really want to sort of gloat a bit, then the last one is then just the categorization for your total spending over however many days you want to look back. So that's just a quick sneak peek at the new designs. So how can you get in touch? First one is reach out if you're interested in automating your business's card spend. We'd love to talk further, and join us. We are hiring. We are quite aggressively hiring. We're looking for 4 intermediates and 3 senior developers. So yeah, there's apply through Bamboo HR or drop us a Slack if you're keen. So then that's that. Any other questions before I sort of hand over back to Nick?
Really cool progress and nice designs. Thanks,
yeah, designs. Kudos to Matt Rich, who's on the call here. So kudos to him for the fancy looking designs.
Awesome, very cool. Guys, if there's anything else, we will share the slides, decks, everything post all of the sessions. Feel free to reach out on the chats, on Slack, wherever. Cool. Thank you very much. That was very cool, man. Well done. I digged it.
Was a team effort.
Yeah, always is. Thanks, man. Cool. Milan, over to you. You've got some very cool updates around the spreadsheet banking that we've been following since the beginning of this year, the end of last year. So, what have you got for us?
Cool. Hey everyone. Okay, so I'm doing a quick demo of where we are, sort of on behalf of Dan and Fricky and Stephen and James. So we've been working on a Microsoft Excel version of spreadsheet banking, and it's doing double duty. So one, it is like corporate spreadsheet banking or like business spreadsheet banking for Excel. The idea is that we get it sort of robust enough to be kind of corporate grade or broad consumer grade, so that basically any Investec private, like individual client or business can use it. Like we can run it at scale. From your point of view as a developer, what I'm hoping this also does is it provides sort of like a blueprint and a lot of baseline stuff if you're trying to build an app. So if you want to build an app that you can like easily get out to, initially we're targeting businesses. So if you've got a business idea, like sort of please ping Nick or myself, would be sort of very interested in beta users. So just have that context if you're looking at this stuff. Okay, so I'm also copying the video demo, and I'll show you why. So this is currently our demo site. Hopefully you can see an ngrok error. So this is telling you 2 things. One, this is still very hacky. Like, yes, we are running it on ngrok on Fricky's laptop. Fricky's getting on a plane now, so he has shut off said laptop. So, but I did pre-record a video to show you what's cooking. So, okay, when Fricky's laptop is running, this is what you get. So this is basically a proof of concept of all the bits that we wanted to do. So we've got, the first one is have identity work like easily. So there's a spend tool, like we can log in with normal Microsoft identity. So because we are targeting Excel, the assumption is, obviously the primary identity for a company using Excel or an individual will be a Microsoft one. So we can SSO to that. There's a little bit of magic that we had to figure out to get it going for sort of more locked down corporate domains. So we're dog fooding it there with Investec, who have a monster of a lockdown AD domain. The idea being you can log in with an individual, kind of like just, online Microsoft OneDrive account, or a pretty locked down AD account, and it sort of just magically works. So you log in, if your domain requires that you 2FA or whatever, and then you're logged in, and then we also know who you are. Okay, so once we have your identity, we then are running the OAuth, so the three-legged OAuth. So we are an app provider on Investec, and we can request access to third-party accounts via the OAuth. So that's the other bit of link. So this Milan and OfferZen Microsoft user is now OAuthing to Investec to ask for bank account details. So I'm logging in here with my Investec login, and we have a test account. It's a CIB corporate account that we use for testing. So don't freak out, like it's a real account, but it's only for testing. So I do my normal Investec 2FA login. Oh, that was too fast. Let me just show you that. Okay, so complete the 2FA, and then basically our app is requesting, so OfferZen here is the app provider, it's requesting a bunch of permissions, so account names and numbers and transaction. And I'm granting that, I'm going to grant that access to our test account is, a company is GetFish. Yes, that is an actual registered legal entity. So GetFetch is our PTY, and it's got a bank account associated with it. So once I authenticate that, the OfferZen Spreadsheet Banking app now has API access to that GetFetch PTY account. So we've now linked an individual's Microsoft SSO identity and Investec bank identity, and we can programmatically kind of poke at both. So as the simple thing, we now pull the like kind of account information, like all the accounts for that business. And that could have been, or any business. So you can link any business account you have in there. And what we then do is we programmatically create a spreadsheet, sharing it with the user, and like real-time syncing it with the bank account access we have. So so basically all the users doing, they're logging in, they link their bank account, and then automatically they get a spreadsheet. They get a little email from Microsoft saying, here's your spreadsheet. Google thinks our emails are spam for now. We should probably work on our copy. And so that spreadsheet is then accessible on, in this case, OfferZen's like SharePoint and OneDrive. So online, you can now see all the transactions on that account, all the accounts, everything has been populated automatically. And there's now a real-time link between the bank account and the spreadsheet. So we can basically keep this Excel file in sync all the time, which is pretty cool. So sort of like dumping all of the data, as you would have seen in the Google Sheet. The main difference here being we're using OAuth to securely get the business account from Investec, and we are putting it in a Microsoft OneDrive account automatically. And then what is kind of cool is you can actually view it in desktop Excel, and it's still real-time syncing, which is pretty funky. So you've got a real-time bank account sync running in Excel. If you edit things there, you can see my muscle memory still command S's all the time to save. Excel friendly tells me I don't actually need to, it's on the cloud. And if you go back to the OneDrive in the cloud, you'll see my message. If I hide this thing, see there, hello there friends. So, and that's all live editable and linked to, on the back end, still programmatically linked to the actual Investec business account. So you got a real-time sync got in your OneDrive, accessible on desktop Excel. And yeah, that's where we're at. So all of the bits work. Now we're busy, like as of 2 hours ago, pretty much. Like I just recorded that video. So well done, Fricky, for pulling it off just before his flight. So yeah, so that's all working. And now we are So I'll stop there for a moment. Any questions or comments so far?
Yeah, Russell has a question.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yes, I have a question. When you say real-time syncing, what do you mean by that? Is it making API calls just like every few seconds, or do you really mean real time?
So yeah, so that's a very good question. There's like, if you're a finance person, I'll say real time. If you're a dev, it's not real time. So like every few seconds,
Okay.
we populating it.
Okay.
I don't actually know what like Excel's rate limit is. It seems pretty fast, but you know, these transactions are happening on human time scale. So, you know, a few seconds or whatever.
Okay.
It's probably perfectly fine for the use case.
But it is doing API calls, eh?
API calls, yes. API call types. You can sort of do it as fast as you want. It's really a question of how frequently do you wanna push it.
Okay. And then is it refreshing everything for a period? So for instance, if a user were to go onto that spreadsheet and go and make some changes, like edit it or put in a column or something like that, would it just overwrite what that user has done currently?
Yeah, so currently it's very hacky because we haven't so it doesn't do a diff yet, just because we've focused on the permissions and stuff, but it will be a diff. So as a user, you'd be able to specify, I want transactions in this range, etc. And it'll have an area that it sort of programmatically controls. And the idea is that a finance person, like finance people are used to that. It's like an import range effectively, you know, and outside of that, you can go wild. You can format, you can do formulas, so you can do all of your finance things. The main thing is you don't have to manually ever sync or recon to bank account. That's what we're trying to automate away completely, so that there's always effectively a live view of your bank account in your finance document. That's the goal. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does.
So here, in terms of possible use cases for this, would this really be focused also on businesses or also on private individuals, just that wants a running tally of what's happening?
So at least one of my theoretical users is my mom, just privately, like doing her budget. The idea is that so like obviously you don't need the corporate SSO and all of that stuff for it to work. So the idea is that it works seamlessly on an individual basis too. We would probably have a little bit of a different template. You know, if it's an individual person, you have sort of a pre-made up template. I also want to play around with GPT-3, the OpenAI model, to do the auto categorization that like Tian was asking about earlier for that use case. So yeah, 100%. The idea is that it's individual or business. We are building it to, I want to say, kind of a corporate security standard. So to kind of have a baseline for that.
And in the categorization, sorry, I always have so many questions. The categorizations that you have in mind are those predetermined categories that you will set up, or will you allow the user to select categories or create categories that work for them in their world?
I definitely want the latter, so user created categories. Like I've played around a little bit with the GPT-3 models, and you could really quickly train it. Like it's crazy how few transactions I think you'd need to. So the idea is that we can bake that in, so that the app does that in the back end, and you can almost just easily say this transaction is a that, and actually on your spreadsheet, and in the background it's reading that back, pushing it to GPT-3 to train the model, and pushing it back. That's kind of the dream for V2 once you get the base functionality out. So Kaylin's also got a question.
Yeah, Kaylin's got a question.
Hi. So in terms of security, how long does the OAuth token persist for? And do you have any plans to invalidate it if, say, a connection was made fraudulently, or, you know, someone got hold of someone's password and managed to get access to their details?
Are you talking about the Microsoft side or the Investec side?
Bit of both. So obviously you need to connect Microsoft, the spreadsheet with Investec. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure how that works, but just wondering.
Good question. So we still need to decide what the sort of standard policy is for individuals. The idea on the business side is that we can inherit whatever the corporate specifies. So that their admins can still sort of set their security parameters, and you don't kind of roll your own effectively. I don't yet have a clear answer on how one wants to think about the bank account link. So my suspicion is that you effectively have tiers in a business. You have someone who can grant that permission once off, and then you have other finance people, let's say, who want to be able to go create sheet or share it on. We haven't yet got to the point where we've beta rolled it out to see what those sort of what those usage patterns are.
Okay. Thanks for the answer.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, thanks for the question.
Hi. Yeah, maybe I can answer on the Investec side. So we built the token revocation for that. So you can, if you are afraid that your spreadsheet got into the wrong hands or whatever the case might be, you can actually go and revoke the token on Investec Online.
So I should have probably started with that. So that is an important one, is you can basically kill this app completely from the Investec side. So that's sort of the like part of the design spec, if that makes sense. Whoever's the kind of Investec admin on the account, as Jan was saying, has got a kill switch on the thing. That is kind of an important part of it. I need to remember to explain that.
So from the Investec side, I'd actually like to know if the values that were originally written get overwritten once the token is revoked. Is that something that does happen, or so basically you push an empty like array, or
we actually will pull the sheet completely. We have control on the Microsoft side, so that's where it gets into it. So the idea is you can actually pull the sheet completely. There's some other weird stuff that we also do to prevent like copying, getting live updates on copies and stuff like that. So you sort of want the company's DLP, data loss protection stuff, to kick in there, if that makes sense. So there's actually quite a lot of parameters to sort of solve for. You want the investor control to eliminate things. You want the other side to be safe when you kill it and pull the data and all of that.
I'm not sure what rules Microsoft has with the B2B service offering, I guess, but maybe assuming that they can set parameters on copying any of those files. So no one can actually make copies for themselves. They can only access the lab data. But
yes, exactly. Yeah. So so you have those permissions on the kind of client side. So and they're pretty robust, and like businesses trust them. So we kind of free riding on those. It costs us about a week to figure out enough to actually be able to implement the thing programmatically, because they are complicated and they're locked down like crazy.
Cool. Thank you very much. I think that was a very cool presentation. Thank you, Milan. And
thanks for the questions, everyone.
Yeah, very cool. Again, if there's any things you guys want to follow up on, please feel free to use the chat, Slack, pigeons, cannons, whatever you deem fit.
Yeah. Cool. Russell had a really cool just note there. Russell, I think that would be really cool. If you're keen, as soon as we have it sort of beta ready, if you'd want to join the beta, please let me know, and then you can maybe live start testing your thing and seeing if it's good or whatever. That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. Cool. Just moving along. So Neil and Ernst have been working hard from Investec side on a very cool new developer portal for you guys as a community. So Neil, have you got anything to share? And welcome. How's it going, man?
Hi guys. Nick, let's be honest here. Ernie did most of the work. So let's give the credit where the credit is due.
Contribution.
Yeah, exactly. So let me just share my screen. Just let me know when you can see it. I'm showing the whole screen. I'm showing the whole screen and not just the tab. You can see the old developer portal. Hey, Nick.
Yeah, I can see your whole window. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. So just with regards to sort of the developer portal, now I guess a bit of a history behind it is that from an open banking and a PSD2 perspective in the UK, to have a developer portal is regulatory. So we as a bank needed to put something together. And in sort of, I guess, a true fashion at that stage when we were trying to find our feet in the UK, it was really sort of put together quite quickly. And if you look at just basically the corporate identity, the look and feel, it is a bit early 2000s, but it does look, I mean, it does the job. And this was specifically built, as I said, just for the UK users. And what you would, as a user, how do I minimize it? Okay, so as a user, I would go on and what I would do is I'd register, I'd register my myself as a user, and then what I would need to then go and register some of the, the apps that I was building on the API that were available at that stage. So, you can see from a UK perspective, we've got open banking, we've got account information, we've got the payment initiation, and all of the ones that are very focused on the open banking piece in the UK. Then obviously we've got sort of your standard get started, FAQs, and sort of a contact page. So as we started to sort of like build up what we were doing as Investec, we started to see that not only were more South Africans visiting the site, but more South Africans were obviously going and registering. So if we go and look at the users that live behind us, there's a large chunk that were South Africans that came through and said, well, listen, I've registered, but I'm just not getting the information that I was looking for. The other piece that we did in the interim was we did launch this page that lives on the developer portal, just deep in the developer portal, and this was focused on the programmable banking stuff that you guys are using. So obviously focused towards South Africans. So it was sort of like this mix match of stuff that was all living all over the place. So what we did was a few months ago, and this is this project feels like it's been dragging, but we're close to the end now, is we sort of sat and we said, okay, well, let's put all of the pieces together and develop this. Well, let's put this new developer portal together that is housing all the information for South Africa. It's housing all the information for the UK, all the programmable banking stuff. And quite an important piece was we needed to put everything into the same corporate identity that was developed for the bank. I think it was launched early last year. So what we did was we put all the stuff together, and now all of this now lives in South Africa. It's all developed or looked after in South Africa, as opposed to sort of like half of it being here and half of it being in the UK. Let's just move this. So this is just the South African site, so you can just go and change your geography. So if you look, let's start with the UK. From the UK perspective, it's been very much a copy and paste job. So all the information that was living, we've zhuzhed some of it up, but really all the information, including all the API products, are all living in the same place. And what we will do in the next few days is we're going to migrate all of these users that were living on the developer portal. We're going to migrate them from the one backend to the other. One of the things that we've had to sort of keep in mind is that from a UK regulatory point of view, is we have to give them a bit of a grace period. So it's not like we can do it overnight. We actually have to tell the users, hey, we are moving you, or we're moving dev portals, you need to go and move yourself. So we've got a bit of a strategy there. So, but when we get to the South African one, which is, I think, a really cool first iteration, and we're going to build on it and see exactly what information is being used and what people want to see, we've had to sort of start from scratch. And so we've not only got everything that we talk about from cards, but also the open API pieces. We've got a quote from Davina as well as Milan. Not Milan, but my apologies. We've got Nick. Nick, you're famous. And then what we also are,
better choice.
Yeah, I don't think Davina likes the fact that she's there. She says, no, we should put all of the, we should put like all the developers. If she had her way, we'd put all sort of like the 500 members of the community all having a quote there. But as I say, this is first iteration, so we'll eventually get there. And then what we've also got is not only the API products that we currently have on offer, and as we sort of launch new things like that, when the transfer API goes into prod and is readily available, that will live there. We've got all the card stuff that has now been moved from this page over here. But we've also got sort of like the use cases and what the different corporates are using, the APIs for. So Office in, obviously you guys are there, and one card, which is like our, really such a cool example of what can be done in this environment. And then part of what we are building out between Nick and myself is we're building out this community page, and to say, okay, what are all the different real estates that what's all the real estate that happens between Investec and Offers In, and try and sort of come up with a really sexy sort of user journey and a really good sort of golden thread between everything. So we'll be able to house some information and projects on this page, and then obviously just the FAQ and support pages that are, you know, pretty stock standard on a developer portal like this. One of the things that we are really proud about, is that Standard Bank went into the news 2 days ago to say that they've just launched their, they're calling it their API marketplace. Obviously, we went last week with the news that we're going with programmable banking. So there's, you know, we feel a bit accomplished by that, is that we pipped them to the news. But we will be, as I say, we'll be launching this into beta in the next few days. And then when the UK crowd, when we've given sufficient notice to the UK users, we will then just push this into prod. And then that will be pointed back to developer.investec.com. And then between Nick and myself and the team, we'll be building out all the content and hopefully putting in some cool tutorials. And then we'll use this, as I say, as a space where we can launch new APIs and new things, and really, you know, use it as sort of like the go-to spot for all the information on the APIs that we launch.
Looking very nice, Neil and Ernst. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
Cool. Any questions?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Nick.
No, sorry.
Hi. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's a go.
It's not questions per se. There was a question asked to Milan regarding a token and the time span of it. And I know you mentioned that the SPD2, the UK standardization that's implemented currently. If we are going to be implementing with Microsoft, shouldn't we be using those timelines, which one is a week and the other one is 6 minutes? That's the one comment I want to make. And the other comment I want to make is with regards to Standard Bank that you mentioned earlier, Nana, that they launched yesterday. There was a partner of mine that actually had a meeting with them yesterday regarding their API. Apparently the API cannot do any payloads in any, that they confirmed yesterday that they cannot do any payloads in any authentication with any partner. They're still in testing, so we are ahead of them.
Oh, wow, great news.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, yeah, that was a question. Well, actually, that was a question to Milan, that shouldn't we actually align our tokens with regards or in line with the SPD2 standard, because that's the standard the world will be following.
Yeah, I guess there's sort of call it the bank side on like how long you want those to live, which I'm trusting Johanna and the team. The Microsoft side, to be honest, I don't have a full view yet on sort of how corporates think about that. I'm also just getting up to speed on how that works. It seems you like if you think of like Kaylin's questions, what I realize is at least when you're talking corporate Microsoft network, it is basically whatever the admins on that side seem to enforce. You can pretty much enforce the craziest combo of stuff. So there seems to be like a ridiculous amount of flexibility in how companies could set it up. So what we're gunning for, at least on the Microsoft side, is to be able to basically ride on those. So we don't want to be in a position where we are setting security parameters that are like incongruent with whatever the corporate would have set up. So that's sort of the key design goal here, is that you can subsume whatever security parameters the corporate sets up, with the addition that on the Investec side, if you kill the access token, it filters back in to the spreadsheet side. That's sort of on a very high level how I'm thinking about the security model. That's not quite an answer to your question, because frankly, we are still figuring it out, but hopefully that gives you at least a high level view on the thinking.
Okay, makes sense. Thanks.
Cool, thanks.
Anything else that you guys, so just getting back onto the Investec developer portal, if there's anything that you guys would like to see on that developer portal, or any sort of content or way that you would prefer that helps you work a little bit better, please feel free to reach out to the team, reach out to me, chat, Slack, the whole thing. Yeah, we'd love to have that, because essentially what we want to do is build a developer portal that you actually want and use. So yeah, cool. Any other questions, guys? Anything you want to know? Cool. Milan's clapping. Yay. Cool. Okay. Moving along. There's nothing else. Let me just go back here to my screen there. Cool. For the community update stuff, guys, we'd firstly, before we jump into the community updates and like the really cool stuff that we've been just busy with for this quarter, we would really love to get your feedback on how you found tonight. If you found it cool, if there's anything else that you would prefer from the meetup, anything of that nature, please let us know. And also I'll pick out, say, 1 or 2 guys who give us some feedback to win some swag. And as whole testimony from Karina and Russell and all of the guys early on this morning, early on in this call, who attest to the quality of the content and the swag, please, yeah, let us know. You can win some swag. Yeah, Karina's like, yeah, awesome. Cool. While you guys busy with that, so one of the things that we've been working on, well, Shannon has actually been working on this a lot, and she's been focused on this a whole lot around the financial content for developers. So Shannon, you want to elaborate a little bit more on this if you can?
Yeah, sure. I'll just give you a quick update. Yeah, so the finance guide is something that we are really excited about, and we really hope it becomes a trusted resource that's valuable to you. It's something that's grown out of our chats with some of the community members around how we can, sort of continue to deliver value. And it's one of the avenues we think is definitely worth exploring. And so we're going to be sourcing and putting together this finance guide, which hopefully is relevant to South African developers. We're obviously going to be partnering with Investec on this because they're the experts. They've got lots of domain knowledge that we'll be leaning on. And yeah, we're aiming to launch this kind of beta of this guide sometime in the next month. I've actually already reached out to some of you for feedback, but if you have any questions or feedback, or you just want to chat about this with me or with Nick, please feel free to reach out. That's the short and sweet of it.
Very awesome, thanks. And because we've been focusing on building up a better experience and a better sort of content for you guys in Q1, we're also working on Community Central source page, because what we found is that while we've got like the GitLab and we've got the Slack groups and we've got a lot of other sort of spaces in which we are communicating, and I kind of felt that we needed a space where we could just have everything in one space. So there's one page that you can just go to and just see where you are, what is the community doing, what are the links to the main sort of documentation or projects. So I'm busy working on a central sort of resource page, and as with Shannon, we're building it on Gitbook so that we're opening up the repo itself. So the GitHub repo is connected to the Gitbook. So as a community, if you spot a typo, if you see anything, if you want to add anything, you can just literally just use the repo to push a request and help us to keep this up to date. I should be giving some more content and links next week, because I should be putting in some content then. But again, this is just the whole heads up of that we are putting together some content and a central space where it's a central point of truth essentially for the community. If there's any sort of questions or anything that you feel really strongly that should be included in this, please let us know. Please let me know. We'll include it. Also, if you want to test out, you want to help look at the content, that'll be really cool. I'd really appreciate that. Cool.
Just a note, if you're thinking of finance content, sort of like pro tips, whatever, from Shannon's mission, like we're looking at it super broadly. So anything goes. Like there's a standard stuff like how to think about saving or investing or whatever. If there's questions there, that's great. But also if you're thinking, how do I do tax on my crypto sales? That's in. If you're interested in let's say, how do I get funding or structure a company, set up an entity? Like, we really want to know all those questions. Through OfferZen and Investec, there's a like large network of experts we can tap into. So if it's kind of like related to your career in the broadest possible sense in finance, please like pass on the questions so we can figure out what's cool.
Great. Because again, we're building this all for you guys. So whatever you need, whatever you want, or whatever you need in order to do some very cool and build very cool things, because this is our job. We're building this for you. So please let us know what you need and want. But of course, we'll be inquisitive and poke you and ask and find out new and different things also. Cool. So the next meetup, so I'm sure it's on top of your minds. You're wondering about this one. The next meetup is on the 21st of April, because as we mentioned, there's a theme for each of these things. And because we focus so much this quarter on content, building a cool experience, and we think we've actually got it now set and it's now working, I want to see if we can run a hackathon again. So if you can, please let me know if you guys are keen on another hackathon. You guys seem to really enjoy the last 3 that we've had. So there's a house yes already. So yeah, by the looks of it, guys, clearly you want a hackathon. You would enjoy a hackathon. So if there's anything specifically around the theme that you would like, or any focus around that, please let me know. If you want to do a hackathon around, say, civil service or open banking, or around a specific feature within Investec's programmable banking, the API itself, if you think there's something cool, please let me know. I'm keen to start putting that together for you. So yeah, clearly there's a lot of already things. So I'm just going to end the poll now, because clearly there's some biasness in this poll. Cool. So I'll just end it there. So I'll share the results. As you guys can see, clearly 100%. Yeah. Okay. So we'll do another Q2 or hackathon. Awesome. I cannot wait. It's going to be cool.
Hi, Nick.
Yes. Hi, Davina.
It's Davina. Hi, everyone. I think just before everybody leaves, I just wanted to like add a few words here around the fact that we went live, I think, to the market in quite a big way from a Investec perspective. And if you know anything about Investec, we never really go above the line with anything. So this was quite momentous in terms of us trying to kind of get the word out there that, one, we bank IT professionals, but more importantly, that we on a journey, I think, to really affect the tech ecosystem in South Africa in a very positive way. I think what's super exciting for me is that Nick and myself and the API team are really going to be focusing a lot over the next coming months around the developer community. In my mind, we're at the 500 mark now in terms of founding members. And for me, that's truly significant in terms of what we're doing. So there's 2 things that I think we're looking for. One is I am chatting and we are just looking for dates for the CEO of Investec and for our exec team to come and basically say a big thank you to this dev community around the real job that you guys have done to kind of get us here, because I'm very certain that we wouldn't be here without the developer community. And I'm not sure that any success in the future is not solely dependent on really what comes out of this community. So for me, it's not enough, I think, just for me to be here and to say thank you, but I really wanted us to have something from an Investec perspective where our entire exec team and at the highest levels get to come and really for all of you guys to see that this is endorsed at the highest levels of the company. It's not just a project or something that I think we started small, but actually it's become something of a movement now at Investec, and I think that's super exciting for me. And then I think secondly is Nick and myself and Neil and the team and Wayne are really looking at how do we make sure that the developer community is really value adding more than just banking. Because my view here is very much around the fact that banking should be like less than 1% of your life, right? And that's the reality. I work at a bank and maybe it's more than 1% in my life, but the point of my job is to make sure that it's less than 1% in the lives of our clients. And I think for me, the real success of this developer community is what do we need to do to make sure that this community is of value to you outside banking. And so I'd really value your feedback. And if you want to contact me directly, Nick will put my email address and cell phone number on the chat. And I'm really, really asking for your help here, because I think there is no better way for us to really figure out how this developer community makes sense, other than just asking you and getting that feedback. So we don't want to guess. Tell us what is going to make this place valuable and how it will make this community something that really adds value to you as a developer, because we're really keen to grow it and make sure that it just grows from strength to strength going forward. Cool, that's from me.
Thank you very much, Davina. That was I like that. Thank you. Karina asked if the hackathon will be open to new joiners, for non-Investec joiners. Yeah, I think it would be. You know, if you have a team, if you can build out a thing, I need to think about how I can frame it and what the theme and the whole thing is. So if you have any suggestions, and you've already given some really cool suggestions, Vince and the guys have given some really cool suggestions. I'm going to see how I can play it, how I can get as many people involved in building some open banking products and a solution that helps people a lot more. So
yeah, I think that's very important, specifically because we've, starting to open up the community to non-Investec customers. My good friend and colleague Alan Cletty, has joined us this evening, and hi Alan. I love you, man. And just to make sure, there's Alan. Just to make sure that they also obviously feel part of what we can build and do.
Yeah, definitely. Cool, thanks. Kotso, sorry man, your hands up.
Oh yeah, I just remembered something from a fraud point of view. I don't know if I've previously used it as an API from CompuScan, Experian, TransUnion, and that API is a fraud indicator. I've previously used it as a first layer of verification, fraud indicator. So what I do is I take users through that API and I check them from fraud. If it's an individual user, if it's a company, then you flag them for fraud purposes. That was a fraud question as well.
Well, thanks, man. I don't know if anyone wants to tackle that one. So was there a question there, Kotso? Sorry, man.
I just noted there's a lot of questions around just test accounts, basically. Like that's like very much on the like plan and priority. Like we really want to do that so that anyone can basically. So if you have an account, useful to just have test data. Like it's pretty so you don't have to stub out, but the idea is that we just open it up, so you can write it's a good enough test account that you can basically write an end-to-end app on it and develop. So that is the goal. So just as a note to everyone asking about that, that is very high on the priority list. I think as who's that? As Russell said, it's not the most trivial of things to do well, but it's very high on the list to do and to do well.
Cool.
Guys, I'm aware that we are running a bit over time, but I'm more than happy to stay. I know if you need to run, you need to run. But the formal part, quote unquote, formal part, if there is any such a thing as a formal part in this community, the formal part of this has been done. But again, feel free to stick around, ask questions, anything on your mind, let's chat. Any problems you need the community to help, whatever, or you just want to watch videos and kind of show us pictures of your family vacation. That's all so cool. I'm lucky out for that. Okay. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, everyone. Super fun.
Cool. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Nick.
Thank
So,
you.
have a good one, guys.
Thanks. Thanks, Nick. Cheers.
Sure. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye.